Soon after the first airlift from Nairobi of African students to the United States in 1959, the African American Student Foundation, AASF, started planning for the second airlift, which was to ferry nearly 160 students. For this, the Kenyan organizers, who included Kenya Federation of Labour leader Tom Mboya, set up the Kenya Education Trust to coordinate all airlift fundraising activities in Kenya. The organizers also decided to expand the program to include students from the rest of the territories in East and Central Africa, and they brought in more nationalist leaders to the AASF Board of Directors, including Kamuzu Banda of Nyasaland, Kenneth Kaunda of Northern Rhodesia, Abubakar Mayanja of Uganda, and Joshua Nkomo of Southern Rhodesia. The airlift organizers would later seek help from a number of American organizations, including the African Scholarship Program for American Universities, ASPAU, and the Phelps-Stokes Fund. At the same time, they renewed their plea to the U.S. State Department to help facilitate the 1960 airlift. When they did not get a positive response, Mboya approached Massachusetts Senator John F. Kennedy, who was chairman of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Subcommittee on Africa, about the possibility of his family foundation, the Joseph P. Kennedy Jr. Foundation, giving the AASF a grant towards the airlift. The foundation agreed to give AASF a grant of $100,000 with a pledge of additional financial assistance over a period of 4 years. The foundation would later send a team of education experts to Kenya to liaise with AASF officials in selecting students to benefit from the Kennedy grant. The team included Gordon Hagberg, director of the African American Institute, AAI, Washington office. When it emerged that the Kennedy Foundation had agreed to support the AASF program, an aide of the then U.S. Vice President Richard Nixon, who was going to vie for the U.S. presidency against Kennedy, called the State Department and managed to get it to offer AASF a grant of a similar amount. Those grants, together with the $80,000 that the Kenya Education Trust managed to raise locally, were sufficient for AASF to charter 4 DC-4 planes for the 1960 airlift. On September 11, 1960, 2 DC-4 planes left Nairobi for New York. Aboard the planes were 148 students. Another plane was to follow with more students the following day. The 4th and last plane eventually left for the US on September 20, 1960. In the end, over 280 African students were airlifted to the US that year. Among them was future Nobel Peace Prize winner Wangari Maathai, who would spend 4 years at Mount St. Scholastica College in Atchison, Kansas, where she got a bachelor's degree with a major in biology before getting a master's in biological sciences from the University of Pittsburgh in 1965. On June 30, 1961, the U.S. State Department finally managed to bring together all U.S. organizations involved in U.S.-Africa education exchange programs, including the AASF, to form the Council for Education Cooperation with Africa, CECA. Hagberg was put in charge of CECA's activities, with immediate responsibility to oversee the 1961 airlift. 4 planes took off from Nairobi in September 1961 on the third and last of the African student airlifts to the United States. Over 350 students left for the US on that airlift. AASF wound up early in 1962. By then, it had already managed to send altogether more than 600 students to the US and had left its mark on the educational history of East Africa and, in particular, Kenya. 7 years later, Tom Mboya was assassinated in Nairobi. He was buried in Rusinga Island in Lake Victoria. When his American Airlift colleague William Scheinman died in 1999, his ashes were also buried in Rusinga Island next to Mboya.